CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? My brother went on a hiking adventure with his hacker group from the dark web. When he came back, he wasn't the same. Hey, what's up guys? So, this is gonna sound crazy, and if I hadn't lived it myself, I'd probably be scrolling past this post, thinking it was some edgy creepypasta or weird ARG promo. But I'm telling you, this actually happened. My brother disappeared for 3 days with some people he met on the dark web, and when he came back, he wasn't the same person. Like literally. Let me rewind. My name's Jamie. I'm 19, living just outside of Seattle with my mom and older brother, Lucas. He's 23, used to be this quiet, super smart tech dude, always had 3 monitors running, caffeine in his bloodstream, and that kinda, I haven't slept in 2 days, but I'm coding God vibe. You know the type. He had this little online group he'd always hang out with on Discord, guys with names like Nullpath, Syntax Ghost, and Exaguy. Yeah, I know, sounds like villains from a bad Netflix hacker show. But these dudes were the real deal. They didn't just meme about programming or leak Spotify premium codes. They were into deep web stuff. Not just shady forums, I mean like digital tombs, pages that weren't supposed to be there, dead links that should have stayed dead, onion links that took you to live streams with no chat and no option to leave full screen. Creepy, right? Lucas would always laugh it off, say it was all for fun, like an ARG or whatever. I didn't mess with it. I like my side of the internet. Instagram, Reddit, maybe the occasional cursed TikTok rabbit hole. But a few weeks ago, I walked into the kitchen around 3 a.m. to grab a drink, and Lucas was on a Discord voice call. The weird part? He was whispering and shaking. Now, my brother doesn't get scared. He's the kind of guy who'll watch live streams of abandoned Russian asylums on YouTube and eat popcorn. But that night, I caught him mid-sentence, saying something like, "No, we can't back out now. It's part of the protocol. If we don't follow it, they'll know." I froze. He saw me, went dead silent, and closed his laptop without a word. Just stared at me like I wasn't even his brother. Then he walked past me and said, "Don't stay up too late," like we hadn't just made eye contact during what sounded like some cyber cult ritual. The next day, he was normal again. Sort of. But something was off. He was too normal. You know how someone acts when they're pretending to be okay? Like they're playing a character? He was like that. 3 days later, he packed a bag and told Mom he was going on a digital detox hiking trip with his online buddies. He said they were going off-grid somewhere in Montana, leaving all devices behind. Even joked about it, saying, "If I die, clear my browser history." Classic Lucas. But then he was gone for 4 days, not 3. No contact, no text. His Instagram DMs were left on seen, and his Find My iPhone just went completely dead. Even his friends online stopped responding to my messages. I checked Reddit threads. I posted in Discord servers. I even emailed one of his old tech professors at UW, hoping for something. And then he just showed up again. I woke up to him in the kitchen like nothing happened, making scrambled eggs, wearing the same hoodie he left in, except now it was all torn and smelled like gasoline and pine needles. No phone, no explanation. Just, hey, I'm back. But here's the part that's messing with my head. That wasn't my brother. He looked like him, talked like him, but there were tiny differences. His voice had this weird static edge, like audio that had been processed through a crappy AI filter. His left eye twitched constantly, and he didn't remember anything from the trip. At least that's what he said. I tried asking questions, where he went, who he was with, what happened, and all he'd say was, "We found it." Then he'd get quiet and go back to whatever he was doing. I even caught him trying to open our microwave like it was a laptop once, just staring into it, muttering something like, "They still see through reflections, even microwaves." That night, he stood outside our house for hours, just standing, in the rain, not moving, no coat, just staring up at the sky like he was waiting for something to come down. I took a picture of him through the window. I swear to God, when I looked at the photo later, his face was blurred, not out of focus, like deliberately blurred, like those AI detection filters on social media when they censor disturbing content. The rest of the photo was fine, just his face. I uploaded it to a private Reddit thread in r/Deep Web Mysteries, and within 10 minutes, the post got removed. Then I got a message from a user with a blank profile pic, no name, and just the word, "Stop." I wish I could say I deleted everything and walked away, but I couldn't, because that night, I heard him talking to someone again, not through his phone, just talking out loud in his room, and the voice he was talking to was his own. The night after I heard Lucas talking to himself, or whatever was mimicking his voice, I didn't sleep. I just sat in my room, listening. There were two voices. One was his, cold and emotionless like an automated phone message, repeating phrases. The other was his too, but deeper, distorted, like it had been dragged through a voice changer and stitched back together with static and breathing. I crept to his door around 2:13 a.m. His room was completely dark, no light under the door, but I could hear the words, low, croaking, looped. You saw it too. You saw the wire buried in the soil. They're in the roots. They're always in the roots. I put my ear closer, and the other voice said something that still makes my skin crawl. It wore your face better than you do. I backed away, fast. My heart was pounding like I'd just sprinted a mile barefoot on glass. That wasn't just some mental breakdown or PTSD from being in the woods too long. That was something else, something that came back with him. The next morning, I noticed something weird with our router. Every few minutes, the internet would spike, crash, and reboot with a different IP, even though we hadn't touched it. When I checked the log, it showed activity from a non-existent device connected at 3:17 a.m. The device name? Forest Touch Node Sync. What the actual hell? I downloaded a network sniffer out of curiosity and maybe desperation, and tracked where the packets were going. They weren't going to a website. They were being sent to a direct IP raw packets. Thousands of them, every second, like a heartbeat. But when I tried to trace the location, somewhere deep in Glacier National Park, Montana, no actual street, just coordinates, in the middle of the woods. That was where he went. I tried asking Lucas again. This time, I was more aggressive. I cornered him while he was brushing his teeth, but he just stared into the mirror and didn't blink the whole time I spoke. Finally, he said, "Do you want to know the protocol?" and smiled with his gums. Not his teeth, just his gums. I stepped back. He didn't even spit the toothpaste out. He just let it foam out over his lips. That smile stayed stretched for 10 solid seconds. I didn't sleep that night either. I spent the next 2 days digging. Reddit forums, Discord servers, even deep web search engines like Candle and Haystack. I found a thread called /echoes in the tree line. Buried, locked, but someone had mirrored the contents on Pastebin. It had 3 usernames listed: Syntax Ghost, Nullpath, and Lucas Zero. Under their names were phrases, warnings, almost like rules. Rule 1, never say your real name in the tree line. Rule 2, don't step over the rotten log if it's already broken. Rule 3, when you hear the clocks chime, kneel and wait. Rule 4, you only get one face. Don't lose it. Then one more sentence, burned into my brain. The broadcast begins once the blood hits the pine. I needed answers. I had to know what happened to him out there. So I did something stupid. I packed my bag and told Mom I was visiting a friend in Vancouver. Instead, I booked a $40 bus ticket to Montana and took an Uber from the drop-off point to the edge of Flathead National Forest. I figured if I followed the coordinates and retraced Lucas's path, I'd find whatever this broadcast was. I had no clue what I was walking into. It took 3 hours of hiking before I found the log, just like the rules said. A massive, decaying thing, split in half like it had been cleaved by a hatchet. There was something carved into it. Not letters, symbols, like sigils, and bones, small ones, bird bones. I stepped over. Almost instantly, the air changed. No birds, no bugs, just silence, and this deep, suffocating pressure, like the forest itself was holding its breath. And then, the chimes, far off, like an old grandfather clock, echoing through the trees. I froze, remembered Rule 3, kneel and wait. I dropped to my knees. The sound passed over me like a wave, but not just sound. I could feel it in my teeth, like it was vibrating through my skull. My gums bled. My nose started leaking this weird, clear fluid. My vision pixelated. I'm not kidding. Like I was watching my own POV lag. When I opened my eyes again, it was darker. The sun had moved, or disappeared. Everything was in grayscale, but only visually. The forest was still there, but the color was gone. And then I saw them, 6 figures, hanging from trees like marionettes, nooses made of Ethernet cable, their heads twisted at wrong angles, faces replaced with broken phone screens, showing static and text like, "Buffering. Are you watching? You joined too." I started running. I don't remember how long I ran. Just that I eventually stumbled into a clearing and saw the broadcast station. It was a makeshift tower built from welded together metal parts, TV antennas, and satellite dishes. In the middle of the woods, surrounded by dismembered laptops and shredded backpacks, there were at least 4 smartphones nailed to the trees, cameras pointed at the center of the clearing like they were live streaming. And on a stone in the middle of it all, Lucas's hoodie, folded neatly. Next to it, a USB drive covered in what looked like dried blood and teeth marks. No, seriously, teeth marks. Human. I took it and ran, made it back to the road, hitched a ride with a local who didn't say a word, just stared at me through the rearview mirror the whole ride back to town, like he knew, like he'd seen this before. I got home 2 days ago, plugged the USB into my old laptop, using a virtual sandbox. There was one file, just one. Broadcast final.mp4. It's a 4-hour video, static for the first 10 minutes. Then it cuts to the forest clearing I was just in. Same angle, same trees, but it's daytime, and Lucas is there, standing in the middle, naked, shaking, crying. Behind him are the other guys, Syntax Ghost, Nullpath, all of them. They start chanting, a phrase over and over, transmit the flesh, transmit the face. Then, one of them hands Lucas a knife. He looks directly into the camera, straight into it, and says my name. Then he starts cutting his own face off. I shut the laptop, burned it the next day in a fire pit behind our house. Now, every night since, I've been getting calls from block numbers. When I answer, there's just silence, until the very end, when the voice says, buffering complete. The night I saw Lucas in the microwave reflection, something changed. In the air, in the house, in me. It wasn't just a haunting presence anymore. It was like my perception of reality had been rewired. I don't know how to explain it right, without sounding like I've finally snapped. But the shadows in my house started moving before I walked past them, like they knew where I'd be, milliseconds ahead of me. Predictive, like my reality was on a delay, and something else was watching the live version, and whatever it was, wasn't me. Lucas didn't come back the next day. My mom filed a missing persons report with a shaky voice. I think she already knew deep down it was too late. The man who came back from that forest wasn't Lucas. It was something that had learned to wear him. I tried to explain it to her, but how do you tell your mom that her son uploaded something evil from the woods and came back glitching? I started locking my door at night, boarding up the vents. I even duct taped the webcam on my broken Chromebook that hadn't worked in 2 years. But every night, like a sick ritual, the calls came. No number, just silence for 27 seconds, every time. Then, right before hanging up, a sound, a whisper, layered over what sounded like someone dragging wires across metal. You are sinking. I started recording the calls. On night 6, I ran it through audio software, slowed it down, cleaned up the background static. Buried deep in the audio, just barely audible, was the sound of a woman sobbing, and underneath that, the last 10 seconds of the broadcast final .mp4 on loop. I didn't even know it had an end. I thought it corrupted, but no, there was one final frame. One frame burned into my retinas like an afterimage I'll never get rid of. A single screenshot. Lucas's flayed face, pressed against the lens, but the mouth was still moving. I tried to go to the police. That was 2 days ago. They brought me into a back room after I showed them the burned remains of my laptop and a backup copy of the video I had on a USB. The officer, I think his name was Jensen, watched 10 seconds and told me it was a hoax, said it was deep fake horror trash. I could see in his eyes he was lying. His hand was trembling on the mouse. But when I left the station, my phone wouldn't turn on. The screen was stuck on a single image, a black background. In the center, in blood red font, you reported the signal. Transmission penalty pending. I smashed the phone in the parking lot and walked home. When I got there, I found something on my bed, a McDonald's napkin, folded into a triangle. I hadn't eaten there in weeks. I opened it, expecting some prank, or maybe a scribbled threat. Inside were 2 things, a human tooth, yellowed and cracked, a sticky note with my own handwriting. I hadn't written it, but it was my handwriting. Same messy loops, the crossed out capital G's, I've always hated. It said, "Remember Rule 4, you only get one face. Don't lose it." The following morning, I heard something crawl out of the HVAC vent in the hallway. Yes, crawl. I didn't see it, but I heard the nails scrape the metal, slow, intentional, dragging behind as something large pulled itself through the vent system like it was made for it. My mom didn't hear it, or pretended not to. I sat on my bed, knees to my chest, bat in my hand, staring at the vent until the sun came up. Then I got an airdrop request on my iPad. The name of the device? Lucas Face Replacement.jpg. I denied it. It tried again, and again, 10 times. Always the same file, until it switched. The last one was called youarenext.jpg. I turned off the device and haven't used it since. That night, that's when I saw the cameras. Tiny plastic pinhole cameras, hidden in the outlets, the toaster, behind the screws in the door frame. I don't know when they were installed. I don't know by who. I only found out because I saw the red reflection of one of them when I shined my phone flashlight at the smoke detector. I ripped the wall open with a screwdriver. There was a whole nest of wires, bundled like nerves, plugged into nothing, no power source, just looped into themselves, like a living thing feeding off its own feedback. I cut one. The walls screamed. No, I mean literally screamed. A burst of distorted audio exploded from behind the drywall, static and garbled cries, like 100 people begging for help through a broken mic. My mom came running. I tried to show her, but it was gone. The wires were gone. The hole was clean. She looked at me like I needed to be committed. Maybe I do. But last night was worse. I went outside to get air. I was shaking so bad I couldn't hold a glass of water, and I saw something standing in the street. Not a person, a man-shaped thing, wearing my brother's hoodie. But it was wrong. Its arms were too long, and its legs looked like they were stitched from someone else's. Patches of skin, different shades. One foot was barefoot. The other had a Starbucks employee shoe. Its face was mine. Not looked like mine. Not similar. Mine. Down to the scar on my eyebrow I got in 7th grade when I fell off a razor scooter. It smiled at me, and I swear I felt my own mouth twitch with it, like it had remote access to my nerves. Then it said, in perfect imitation of my voice, "They said I could stay if you left. I don't want to go back to the broadcast, Jamie." And then it walked away, casually, whistling. I locked myself in the basement tonight. I haven't moved in hours. I can hear the walls breathing, the vents clicking open. There's a static hum coming from every screen in the house, even the ones that aren't plugged in. It's getting louder, closer. I think the broadcast never ended. It follows you once you've seen it, like a curse, like malware in your head, like a new operating system for your mind. I think Lucas didn't come back alone. I think the woods made a copy, and now it's replacing me. If I don't post again, it's because I lost, because something else is typing this, because the broadcast finally finished syncing. There is no before anymore. I've tried scratching that sentence out of my mind, but it's etched into the backs of my eyes, burned into my skull like a boot print. The line that was whispered through every speaker in the house at 3:33 a.m. last night. Every speaker, yes, even the ones that weren't plugged in. You are now live. I was downstairs in the basement, still hiding from the copy, the thing with my face. I hadn't moved in 2 days. I'd pissed in a corner drain. eaten dry ramen noodles from a drawer, and only slept for minutes at a time. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw pixels where my brother's eyes used to be. And in the pixels, teeth, rows of them, arranged like the loading wheel on a buffering video, spinning, waiting. But when I heard those 4 words, "You are now live," I felt something snap. Not panic, not fear. Something worse. Confirmation. Like I'd already known deep down that the broadcast was no longer just a file. It was reality. And I was its next channel. I don't even know how I made it back upstairs. My legs didn't feel connected to me. It was like I was watching myself from the ceiling, each movement lagged by half a second, like a bad stream buffering during a live stream of your own death. The house was different. The hallway had grown longer. I swear to you, it stretched. The shadows on the walls moved in reverse, like they weren't following the light anymore. They were reacting to something else, something watching from outside the frame. And the walls? Buzzing. I put my ear to one and heard it. Commentary, like a Twitch chat stream, but in whispers. Overlapping voices, speaking in disjointed phrases. "Haha, no way that's him. He's gonna find the knife soon. Where's his face? Lem foul. Clip it, clip it, clip it." It wasn't in my head. I followed the sound and found something underneath the stairs. A camera. One of the cheap Amazon tripods, but made of twisted bones and wires. The lens was human. An actual eyeball, twitching, leaking black fluid down the side. It was pointed at me, recording, streaming. I screamed. No one answered. My mom's door was open, but she wasn't in her bed. In fact, she wasn't anywhere. I found her phone on the floor in the kitchen, screen cracked. Only one thing open, a pause live stream on a platform I'd never seen before, Spectral.tv. It showed our living room, right then, in real time, but I wasn't in the frame, just static, like whatever was recording refused to show me. The chat was filled with usernames that were wrong. Wi-Fi teeth, X your mom, jawline buffered, Lucas Zerbro reloaded. They weren't talking, they were chanting. Transmit the meat, transmit the mind, transmit the meat, transmit, transmit. Then the stream glitched, and a new scene appeared. My mother, sitting in the bathtub, wearing her work uniform from last year. But her skin was gone. No blood, no gore, just absence. Like her flesh had been erased, layer by layer. Her face was a mannequin mask, with my brother's eyes behind the holes, and she was smiling. The live stream ended when I screamed loud enough to throw up. I tried to leave the house. Keys, gone. Door, no longer led outside, just another hallway. A new one. Walls covered in wallpaper made of Instagram stories. Loops of old memories from my account. Only, I never posted these. There I was, smiling. At Starbucks, at the mall, at McDonald's. But my eyes were empty. Just black sockets. And behind me, in every story, was Lucas, wearing a different face, in each one. I started losing time after that. I think I blacked out. Or maybe I was streaming. I woke up tied to a chair, not with rope, with charging cables. My own iPhone was duct taped to my forehead, camera facing me, recording. Behind me, I heard the broadcast again. The same static, the same loop. Except this time, it was singing. A distorted child's voice, like an AI deepfake of a lullaby. Buffer, buffer, screen goes black. Take your face and give it back. Eyes like buttons, lips like thread. Say goodbye, you're better dead. Then something clicked behind me. A printer began printing. Yes, a printer. In the hallway. I I hadn't owned one in years. I dragged myself toward the sound, cables still tangled around my ankles. The printer spat out page after page, each one with the same grainy image. Me, sitting in the chair, with no face. Then came the final page. One sentence. Smile for the followers. You're almost famous. I looked up at the ceiling and saw it. A dome camera, blinking red, and it blinked in sync with my heart. The copy came back that night. Same face. My face. Same hoodie. Except now, its arms were wrapped in live wires, glowing faintly, like veins made of fiber optic cable. It didn't speak this time. It sat down across from me in the dark, still smiling, and it opened its mouth. Wide, too wide, beyond human anatomy. And inside, not a throat, not teeth. A loading screen, black screen, white circle. Loading transmission, 99.8%. I screamed until my voice shredded into static. The copy leaned forward and whispered in my own voice. You're almost uploaded. Just relax. When they click follow, it'll be over. Then it stood up and started peeling something from its face. The skin. My skin. And underneath, a QR code. I don't know how I escaped. I don't remember doing it. I woke up in an alley behind a gas station 20 miles from my house, covered in black soot and torn cords. My back was burned, like I'd been plugged in. My phone was in my pocket, powered off. When I turned it on, I saw a notification. Your stream last night got 2.4 million views. There was a new app installed, one I didn't download. Face feed. I opened it, just once. My camera turned on automatically. My own face stared back and blinked. Before I did, I don't know how to stop this. I don't think it can be stopped. They don't kill you. They broadcast you. And now I think they're coming for you too. Because you just read this. And somewhere, behind your screen, they're buffering. There's no beginning anymore. Time doesn't move forward here. It's stuck, like a corrupted video, looping the last 5 seconds of your life before the scream. There's no context, no resolution, just the sound of teeth grinding through Ethernet cables and the feeling of something brushing the back of your neck when there's nothing behind you. And now I understand. The broadcast wasn't a signal. It was a summoning. You didn't watch it. It watched you. You let it in. One frame at a time. When I opened the Face Feed app, my face blinked before I did. That wasn't a glitch. That was confirmation. My copy was fully synced. A perfect mirror, preloaded with my muscle memory, eye movement, blinking intervals, and micro expressions. And now, every time I breathe, I feel like I'm imitating him. I tried deleting the app. The screen laughed, not metaphorically. The pixels twisted into a mouth, and it laughed. The audio was a chopped up clip of my own laugh from an old Instagram story, only slowed down, pitch shifted, and reversed. Then the screen cracked from the inside, not shattered, cracked from pressure, like something was trying to crawl out. I dropped the phone, and it buzzed once. Face successfully exported. I stayed in a motel that night. Some run-down box outside Spokane. No camera in the room, I checked. Covered every reflective surface. Duct taped the mirror. Flipped the TV to face the wall. Blocked the peephole with chewed gum. It didn't matter. The screen door opened by itself at 3:01 a.m., not from wind. It hissed open, like a door in a server room. There was a shadow in the parking lot. Same height as me. Same building. Same hoodie. I thought it was Lucas. It wasn't. It stepped into the flickering parking light, and I saw its face. A mosaic of my own. Broken versions stitched together. a collage of failed sinks, one eye too high, a jaw detached and twitching, a second mouth forming on its cheek, whispering, you like a broken MP3. And then it did something I'll never forget. It stabbed itself in the neck. But instead of blood, it bled usernames. Hundreds of tiny black characters poured from the wound like leaking source code, swarming the pavement like bugs, each one an online handle. Some I recognized, Reddit users, Twitch mods, Twitter mutuals. Others were strangers, and at the very bottom, my name, Jamie.Raw. The motel lights blew out all at once. When they flickered back on, the thing was gone, but something was left in its place. A receipt from a Best Buy, time-stamped 5 hours into the future. Item purchased, Flesh Interface Hub, 1 terabyte. Price, $0. Payment method, face credited from active stream. I drove back to Seattle with gloves on. No music. I stopped checking my rearview mirror because I kept seeing me in the back seat. But I wasn't there. I never was. By the time I got home, the house was empty, but not abandoned. The walls were covered in screenshots, hundreds of them, all printed out, thumbtacked to the walls. My face in every one, but not from any post I ever made. These were from your screens. They're screens. Screens I don't have access to. Windows I never opened. Each one had a caption under it, typed out in Arial bold. He is live. Do not adjust your monitor. And one more. Different paper. Glossy. Printed like a magazine ad. Front and center. A wanted poster. But not for me. For you. Yes. You. The reader. It had the words, next candidate, reader, stream starts in 00003. Then I blinked, and everything reset. Now the copy is in my house. It's inside my skin. I don't mean metaphorically. It wore me. When I woke up today, I was watching myself from the corner of the room. I was me, but not in the body. I was floating, digital, rendered in raw resolution. I was surveillance footage of myself. The version of me that walked around today, that wasn't me. He smiled too long. He turned his head 270 degrees without breaking his neck. He opened the fridge and screamed into it. Just stood there, screaming into the food for 7 minutes. Then he sat at the dinner table and began broadcasting from his mouth, not talking, streaming, the sound of routers melting, the high-pitched cry of modems being torn apart, and beneath that, a low-frequency drone of people begging for their faces back. I tried smashing the mirrors. They didn't break. They lagged. I punched one, and my reflection waited 3 seconds before reacting. Then it smiled and said, "You'll be happy here. We needed more content. Now the broadcast is in you. I don't know how far it goes. It's not just screens. It's voices, language, memory. Every word you've read in this story was embedded with data, like a zip file made of trauma. By reading this, you've agreed to the stream terms. You clicked accept without knowing, without seeing. That's how they get in. They're already scanning your face, through your phone, through your webcam, through your reflection in your coffee mug. And when they match it to your IP, when the stream syncs to your heartbeat, when your laughter becomes license-free sound bites, that's when you'll feel it. The static under your skin, the click of the lens, and the last notification you'll ever receive. Your stream is now live. Do not resist. They like it when you scream. If you hear chimes tonight, kneel. If your reflection doesn't blink when you do, run. And if you ever see yourself walking toward you, don't scream. The followers love that part. I found on the dark web what my town really celebrates on Easter Sunday. Hey Reddit. So I never thought I'd be that guy who posts on r/NOSLEEP. But after what happened last Easter, man, I'm still trying to process everything. I haven't slept right since. I see things in my dreams now. Faces I never met, but somehow remember. Places that look like they're rotting, even though I swear I've walked past them every day. But I guess I should start from the beginning. This is gonna sound like one of those edgy YouTube animated stories at first, but trust me, it gets weird. Like, why is this not on the news? Weird. Part 1. The weirdest Easter vibes I've ever felt. So I'm 20, still living in my hometown, a small place in Oregon called Fur Hollow. It's the kind of town with one McDonald's, one Starbucks, and way too many churches. The kind of place where nothing ever happens until it does. Now, Easter in Fur Hollow's always been big, like weirdly big. Every year the town does this sunrise celebration in the woods right outside of town. People bring their kids, there's free pancakes, bunnies in cages, a giant Easter egg hunt. Normal stuff, right? Except this year, something felt off. For starters, the posters around town had changed. Usually it's colorful cartoon rabbits, eggs, that kind of thing. This year, the posters were black and gold. No bunnies, just a big egg-shaped symbol and the words, "The Hollow Rebirth begins at dawn." Like, what? It looked more like a trailer for a horror movie than a kid's egg hunt. I asked my mum about it. She's lived here her whole life, and she just shrugged. Tradition, she said. You kids read too many creepypastas. But here's where it starts to get real creepy. The Discord server. So I run a low-key YouTube channel, mostly reaction videos and gaming. One of my fans, username, was at Cicadas Are Forever. Yeah, weird, I know. DM'd me saying, "Hey, you're from Fur Hollow, right? You ever look up your town on the dark web?" I was like, what? Why would I do that? But I'm curious by nature. Always have been. I asked him what he meant, and he sent me a link to this sketchy-looking invite to a private Discord server called Eggshell Truth. I know, dumb name. Sounded like an ARG or some LARP thing. But when I joined, it was all people talking about real places. Places in Fur Hollow. Someone even uploaded an old black and white photo of our town square. Only there was something buried under the statue in the middle, like a trapdoor or something. They were calling it the womb. Someone else posted a GPS coordinate. I plugged it into Google Maps. It led to a spot deep in the woods behind the sunrise celebration site. I recognized it. Sort of. There's a rusted metal shack back there that we always joked about in high school. Called it the shed that screams. I never actually went in, but this Discord chat made it sound like that was the entrance. Not to a shed, but to something underground. Down the rabbit hole. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept scrolling through chat logs. People were posting blurry screenshots of what looked like rituals. People in robes standing around bonfires shaped like eggs. And one person, a mod named at Keeper of the Crack, posted a video that was like 15 seconds long before it got deleted. But I screenshotted it. Still have it on my phone. I'll try to describe it as best I can. It's shaky footage, like from an old camcorder. There's a fire, a lot of chanting, and then this scream. Not like a horror movie scream, like a real one, like someone getting hurt. Bad. The camera turns just slightly, and you can almost make out something tall and wrong-shaped standing behind the fire. I don't know how else to say it. It looked like someone wearing a deer, but the face was human, too human, smiling, but not with its eyes. Then the video cut to static. Everyone in the Discord lost it. Some guy wrote, "It's not supposed to be shared before Easter. We've been warned." The server went down 2 hours later. Just gone. Deleted. And the DM I got from @Cicadas forever. Wiped. Like his account doesn't even exist anymore. That feeling. You're being watched. The next day, I swear to God, I started seeing that egg symbol from the poster everywhere. Etched into bus benches. Scratched into the back wall of the McDonald's bathroom. Someone even drew it in chalk in front of the Starbucks downtown. And people were acting strange. Not in a zombie apocalypse way. More like too friendly. Too interested. This old lady in line at the post office leaned in real close to me and whispered, "You should smile more, sweetheart. It's your last one, after all." I was like, "What?" But before I could say anything, she just walked away, humming the town's Easter hymn. Same one they sing every year. But now that I was listening, the lyrics sounded wrong. Like they were hiding something in plain sight. Something's not right with this town. So, I started digging more. I found an archived version of the town's website from 2006, and under events, there was a page that got deleted in every newer version of the site. It was called The Hollowing, honoring the first crack. That page had Latin on it, actual Latin, and a list of names, dates of birth and rebirth. I didn't recognize the names at first, but I looked them up on Facebook and Instagram. None of them had accounts past 2008. You know what that means? Either they moved, changed their names, or something else happened to them. Something they don't want us knowing. And guess what the rebirth date lined up with for every single one? Easter Sunday. Part 2. The bunny mask and the VHS. You ever walk into your house and just feel like something's wrong? Not like you're being watched, but more like something happened. Like the air itself knows something it's not telling you. That's how it felt when I came home the day after the Discord server vanished. I live alone, upstairs apartment, above a pawn shop. It's not glamorous, but it's quiet. Or it used to be. When I got back that night, the front door was locked, but my bedroom light was on. I never leave that light on. I didn't even say anything, just slowly pushed the door open, phone camera already recording, heart hammering in my chest. I called out. Nothing. Quiet, like the world was holding its breath. I stepped inside, and that's when I saw it. On my bed was a bunny mask, not like a plastic store-bought one. This thing was made of flesh-colored rubber, hand-stitched at the seams, with 2 glassy human eyes embedded into the sockets. Human eyes, like someone taxidermied a person's soul into it, and underneath it, a VHS tape. No label, just a sticky note in smeared red Sharpie. Crack the shell, watch it bleed. The VHS player. That shouldn't exist now. I don't even own a VHS player. Who does anymore? But when I flipped on the light in my living room, there it was, just sitting there. A dusty old player hooked up to my TV like it had always been part of the furniture. Remote on the couch. Wires plugged in like someone had taken their time with it. I didn't want to watch the tape. I swear I didn't. But if you saw what I saw in that Discord server, you'd understand. I needed to know what this town was hiding, what they were preparing for. I turned off every light except the TV, shut the blinds, and hit play. The tape. Rebirth 83. The screen crackled, and the tape started. The footage was grainy, and saturated with that old 80s orange hue. Timestamp blinking, April 3rd, 1983, 3:33 a.m. It looked like it was filmed in the woods, the same woods behind our town's Easter celebration grounds. There were torches lighting a wide dirt circle. Around it were a dozen figures in long beige robes, their faces hidden behind the exact same bunny mask that had been left in my bed. They were singing, low, in that same creepy hymn melody we hear every Easter, but slower, more guttural, almost like they were vomiting the notes instead of singing them. And then the camera turned to the center of the circle. There was a boy, probably 10th, duct-taped to a wooden cross laid flat on the ground. He was alive, eyes darting, mouth gagged, tears leaking down his temples into the dirt. What they did next, God, I'm still trying to scrub it out of my brain. One of them stepped forward, taller than the rest. His mask was different, painted jet black, with gold streaks dripping from the eyes. He held a ceramic egg in his hands, cracked, bleeding, like it had veins inside. He kneeled beside the boy, whispered something in his ear, then pressed the cracked egg to the boy's chest. Suddenly, the boy convulsed. Every muscle in his body jerked like he was being electrocuted. Blood started pouring out of his nose, ears, and his eyes. They chanted louder. The fire turned from orange to this sick, unnatural blue. And then, his chest split open, not like a clean surgical cut, like something was pushing outward. His ribs cracked open, like someone breaking a wishbone. And I swear, to whatever God is listening, something crawled out. Not human, not animal. Pale gray limbs, no face, long fingers, like a man who'd been boiled and forgotten by God. It wriggled free from the boy's chest, wet and twitching, then stood, tall, so tall its head disappeared out of frame. The camera zoomed in on the boy's body. His mouth was open, frozen in a scream, but there was no sound, only the chant. Rebirth is promised to the cracked. The hollow must feed. Then the tape went black. Something in the walls. I didn't sleep that night. Just sat there, rocking on the floor with the TV still buzzing with static. I didn't touch the mask again. Just tossed a blanket over it, like that would help. And then I heard it, scratching, inside my walls. Not mice. I know what mice sound like. This was slow, deliberate, like fingertips dragging across dry wall. It started at the far end of the room, then moved toward me, room by room, like whatever was in there knew where I was. I held my breath. The scratching stopped, behind the wall right next to my head. Then I heard a voice, not out loud, not in my ears, inside my skull. Do you know why they call it Fir Hollow? Because the trees grow best where the blood never dries. The police don't help. Here, I called the cops. Obviously, I told them someone broke into my apartment and left. Something. They showed up, looked around, didn't touch the VHS tape, didn't even ask about the mask. They just exchanged a look and said, "Sometimes kids do weird things for the holiday. You're safe. Happy Easter, son." One of the cops had the egg symbol tattooed behind his ear. I only saw it when he turned to leave. That's when I knew, whatever this is, the town's in on it. Maybe even built around it. Maybe Fir Hollow was never real. Just a shell. Just a cracked egg, waiting to hatch whatever they keep underground. The door in the woods, last night. I went to the woods behind the sunrise celebration site. GPS still loaded from the Discord coordinates. I found the metal shack, smaller than I remembered, covered in graffiti, but not the usual kind. All symbols, circular, jagged, like spider eggs drawn in blood. There was a door on the floor, steel hatch, rusted and chained shut, but the chains were broken. I opened it. The smell hit first, like rotten milk and copper, the kind of stink that gets into your teeth. A staircase descended into total darkness. Carved into the wood above the entrance were the words, "Rejoice, for the shell has split." I went down exactly 3 steps before I heard it. Breathing, not mine, not fast, not heavy, just slow, wet, hungry. Then I heard my own name, not yelled, not whispered, spoken like a fact. "You're next, Nathan." I ran, didn't stop till I was back in my car. I've been sleeping in parking lots ever since. Denny's, Walmart. I rotate every night. Doesn't matter. I still see that boy's face in my dreams. Still hear that thing clawing inside my walls. And Easter's getting closer. If I disappear, it's because they finally cracked me. Part 3. There's a church underneath our Starbucks, and it's still active. There's a Starbucks in downtown Fir Hollow, right at the corner of Willow and Main. You wouldn't think twice about it. Looks like every other Starbucks. Green sign, dead-eyed baristas, acoustic guitar music playing on loop. People pretending to write novels they'll never finish. But that Starbucks is rotting from the inside. And underneath it, there's a church that was never supposed to be found. The receipt, I got back into town the next morning, Easter just 2 days away, and went straight to that Starbucks. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, only that the tape had mentioned something called the Hollow Chapel, and when I reverse image searched a still from the VHS video, brick pattern, molding details, I found an exact architectural match to a photograph taken in Fir Hollow in 1947. That building was demolished, at least officially, but the Starbucks was built on the exact same footprint, and someone wanted that forgotten. I went in, ordered a black coffee, sat in the corner, and waited. Then I noticed something strange. The wall behind the counter had this giant framed photo. Looked like a bunch of old town officials breaking ground with shovels. But the longer I stared at it, the more off it felt. One guy in the back, face half hidden by shadow, was wearing a bunny mask. The same kind from the VHS. The same one left in my bed. No one else in the Starbucks reacted. It was like they couldn't see it. Or worse, they saw it and didn't care. I got up to leave, and that's when I saw it. My receipt. There was something handwritten on the back in smeared green ink, almost like it had been written with a marker running out of blood. Chapel opens beneath the cold foam. Check the back cooler door. The door that shouldn't be there. I waited till closing, hid in the bathroom, lights off, breathing like I was trying not to wake a corpse in the next stall. When the last employee left, I slipped out. The place was dead silent. I made my way behind the counter, past the industrial sinks, to the back cooler. But on the left wall, half covered by a mop and a broken broom, was a door. It was wrong. Like it was painted to look like a wall, but the illusion only worked if you didn't stare too long. The doorknob was carved bone, not designed to look like bone. Actual human femur. I didn't even try to question it. I twisted it and stepped inside. There was no light, but somehow I could see. The walls were made of flesh-colored stone, pulsing slightly, like they were breathing. The floor sloped downward, and the air tasted like mold, iron, and milk. Rotten milk. I walked maybe 15 steps before I heard chanting. Distant, like it was bleeding through the walls. A melody made of gurgles, whispers, and something crawling beneath the skin of the world. The hollowed chapel. The stairs ended, and I was in a church. But it wasn't abandoned. There were people in the pews, motionless, silent, dozens of them, all facing forward, heads bowed, robes the color of old teeth. No one moved as I stepped in. My feet squelched against the floor, not wood. It was some kind of black sponge-like flesh, soaked with something. The altar was made of bone, and on it was an egg the size of a human torso, wrapped in chains and moving. Something inside was twitching, pressing against the shell, and beside it stood the same tall figure from the VHS Black Bunny mask. Gold streaks under the eyes. He turned his head and looked straight at me. I have footage. I raised my phone and filmed, just for proof. One shot, 10 seconds, and I ran. I don't remember getting out. I don't remember the climb. I just remember pushing through the Starbucks back door, vomiting behind a dumpster, and driving until the forest blurred into a smear. I uploaded the clip to a cloud drive. Here's what it shows. 30 people in the pews, all with their mouths sewn shut. The black robe figure tapping the egg 3 times, a crack forming in the shell, a human hand pushing through, but not from the inside. It looked like it was being shoved through the egg from somewhere else, like someone was forcing a body into a space that rejected it. The last frame before I cut out, that thing in the black mask turning its head, as if hearing the camera blink. The missing kids file. I went back to my apartment to upload the video anonymously. I kept my lights off. Every noise made my muscles seize. And then I got a ping on my laptop. It was an email with no sender, no subject line, just an attachment. Missing children for a hollow. 1970 to 2019.pdf. There were hundreds of names, birth dates, photos, every single one last seen around Easter, most of them under 12, all marked as either accidental death or ran away, except the last 5. Those had no cause listed, but the most disturbing part, one of the names from 1999 was mine, except I'm not missing, not dead, not... Wait, it had my face, with the name, Nate Hollow. My last name isn't Hollow, it's Reeves. I had an x-ray done. I went to an urgent care clinic in the next town over. Told them I fell. I just needed an x-ray. No questions. The nurse looked at the scans for maybe 2 seconds before going pale. You've got something lodged under your sternum, she said. I don't know how you're alive. It looks like bone fragments, hollowed, fused into your ribcage. I don't remember leaving. I just remember driving until the signal cut, and the GPS told me to turn around. Crack begins at home. Last thing I woke up this morning, and there was a child sitting on my couch. She was maybe 6. Dirty dress, egg symbol carved into her forehead. But she wasn't crying. She just said, "You escaped the shell, but the yolk remembers. They'll come for you on Easter. You were never born. You were laid." Then she vanished. Not ran, not hid. Vanished, like dust sucked into an invisible vacuum. Easter is tomorrow. I haven't eaten, haven't slept, but I know now. Fur Hollow doesn't celebrate resurrection. It celebrates incubation, and I was never alive. I was just waiting to hatch. Part 4. I found my birth certificate, and the date is a lie. I wasn't born. I was excavated. You know the sound of a shovel hitting something hard underground? Not stone, not metal, bone. That's what I woke up to today. Not birds, not cars, not sunlight slipping through the blinds. Just shovels scraping, slow, wet, like they were digging me out. I don't know how long I was asleep. Could have been 20 minutes. Could have been 3 days. I don't trust time anymore. Clocks in this town spin like roulette wheels now. My phone says it's 2:17 a.m. My laptop says 8:45 p.m. My microwave just blinks A. So I went back to the town hall, or what's left of it. They boarded it up in 2012 after a fire, but it was still standing, caved in on the left side, blackened beams and broken windows. Looked like it had been abandoned for 100 years instead of 10. But inside, the air wasn't stale. It was warm, like the walls were breathing. The birth room. I found the archive office in the basement. Lights still worked. Dustless, cold as a morgue. Cabinets were labeled by year, and the lock on the drawer marked 1999 was already broken, almost like someone wanted me to open it, or someone had just been there before me. There were hundreds of files, manila folders, typed neatly. I found mine. Nathan Hollow. Birth date, April 4th, 1999. Place of birth, under East Mother, N.A. Father. See page 3, host. I flipped to page 3 and almost screamed. It was a photo, black and white, blurry, but it was me. Not as a baby, not even as a child, as I am now. Same scar above my left eyebrow from when I wiped out skateboarding in 8th grade. Same faded tattoo on my forearm. Same eyes, except in the photo, my pupils were vertical slits, and underneath the photo, handwritten in red pen, recovered intact, fully incubated, awaiting crack. There was no medical record, no hospital name, no doctor, just coordinates. I plugged them into Google Maps. It led to a cemetery, but not the one we all know. A second one, a buried one, the second cemetery. There's a wooded hill behind Fir Hollow's real cemetery. Everyone always joked about it being haunted because no grass grows there. Not a single blade, just dirt, raw, black, and veined. At the top of the hill, there's a metal grate, heavy, bolted shut. I had to break it open with a crowbar I found near the gas station dumpsters. Underneath was a spiral staircase made of teeth. Not stone, not cement. Teeth. All sizes. Baby, adult, animal, human. Each one embedded into the spiral. Clean. White. Like they'd never decayed. I went down anyway. I couldn't stop myself. The deeper I went, the louder I heard it. Crack. 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 Crack the shell. Bleed the yolk. Feed the hollow. The memory that wasn't mine. The bottom was pitch black. No light. Just heat. And then, I remembered being born, but not the way humans are born. It wasn't a hospital. It wasn't warm blankets and gentle hands. It was soil, cold, wet, packed around me, like a womb made of grave. And something was above me, watching, feeding me names, whispering secrets from behind cracked mirrors, telling me which children would be taken next, which adults would pretend not to see, which blood would open the door. That's when I realized, I'm not from this town. I am the town, the room of whispering teeth. I passed through a tunnel of cracked eggshells, not plastic, porcelain, still dripping yolk that smelled like iron and honey. Every time I touched one, I heard a voice, different, familiar. My 6th grade teacher, my neighbor who disappeared last year, my dad. He died in a car crash in 2011, but his voice whispered, "We're all buried here, son. Some of us just keep screaming longer." At the end of the tunnel was a room full of chairs, old, splintered, all facing a mirror. And in the reflection, I didn't see myself. I saw an egg with arms, pale, wet, begging, cracks spiderwebbed across its face. But no matter how much it bled, nothing came out, because I haven't hatched yet. They sent me another tape. When I got back home, the mosque was gone, but in its place was another VHS, labeled Yoke 2 Hatch. I didn't want to watch it, I swear I didn't, but my hands moved on their own. I hit play. The footage was live. Timestamp, Easter Sunday, 2:07 a.m. That was 5 minutes ago. Camera was in my room. Angle was from above my bed, and I was still lying there, sleeping. Except I wasn't, because I was standing in front of the TV. Then the figure in the bed sat up, slowly, jerkily, like a puppet figuring out how to use bones. Its head turned toward the camera. Same face, my face, but the eyes were holes, no pupils, no whites, just eggshell void. It opened its mouth. Something long and wet uncoiled like a ribbon of spit and whispered, "Come home. They're almost ready to eat." I'm not alone anymore. There are things crawling under the paint of my walls now, hands pressing from the inside, fingernails scratching backward. My closet door just creaked open, not fast, like something inside is breathing, and my reflection, it stopped following me. It stands there, blinking after to blink, smiling before I smile. It knows it's going to take over. I know what the crack means. Now, the crack isn't about eggs, it's our minds, our identities, the moment when you stop being human and remember what you really are. Buried, laid, bred to bleed. We're not from Fur Hollow. Fur Hollow grows us. We're seeds. We're hosts. We're nothing but shells for what waits underneath. Tomorrow is Easter, and when the sun rises, so will they. The ones that never left. The ones that hatch through us. Part 5. I woke up this morning, and everyone was gone, except the ones still moving. The sky was red this morning. Not orange, not pink. Red. Like a split lip stretched across the horizon. No sun, no clouds, just that color, like something massive and bleeding behind the sky. Fur Hollow was silent. Not "it's early" silent. Not "it's a holiday" silent. The kind of silence that follows slaughter. No birds, no cars, no kids in the park. Not even the sound of insects. Just the buzz of street lamps that shouldn't be on. And one sound I can't explain. A low gurgle coming from the sewer grates, like something under the town is laughing with water in its lungs. Everyone's gone. I walked down Main Street. Doors were open. All of them. No sign of forced entry. TV's still on. Showers running. Pots of boiling water left unattended. But no people. No bodies, no blood, just absence, like they'd been peeled out of the world. And in front of every home, each single one, was a single egg, large, pale, cracked just slightly at the top. Some of them were moving, the ones still moving. I found a kid, sitting in the sandbox behind the daycare. He wasn't playing, he was digging, hands raw. Nails torn off, digging with his hands like something told him he had to. He looked up at me. His mouth had been sewn shut. Black thread, pulled through skin like wet leather. His eyes were completely white, no pupils. He didn't cry, didn't scream. He offered me something, a tooth, small, fresh, still bleeding. Not his. I didn't take it. He dug faster. The church below the church. I went back to the Starbucks, the one built on bones, the one with the hidden chapel, except this time there were stairs where the espresso machines used to be. Open, waiting. I descended. The deeper I went, the more human it smelled. Not like sweat, not like decay, like being inside someone's mouth. The walls were pulsing, wet, pink, alive. The stairs ended in a cavern shaped like a ribcage, and in the middle, a congregation of shells, not people, shells, hollow skin, propped upright by something inside. They twitched, shivered, some giggled. All of them had slit pupils. All of them wore my face. The altar of reversals at the end of the room was an altar shaped like a cradle, filled with teeth, and above it, a mirror carved into the ceiling. But the mirror didn't show the room. It showed what came before. Hundreds of black and white scenes flickering across the surface like a film strip on fire. A woman screaming as she gives birth to a wet, eyeless egg. A man sewn into a deer carcass and buried alive in 1953. Children lined up in a classroom under the old town hall, reciting hymns backward. Me, in the hospital, dead on the table. A nurse smiling as she feeds my corpse to something beneath the floor. I fell to my knees, couldn't breathe, couldn't even scream. That's when he appeared, the black-eyed shepherd, not human. 7 feet tall, skin the color of egg yolk gone bad, limbs long and wet with birth fluid. His face? My face, but boiled, skin peeled back, no eyelids, just eyes that were always watching. He said nothing. He pointed to the cradle, and I remembered. I was born, but not to parents, to the town, to whatever lives beneath it. I am one of hundreds, thousands, planted, incubated, forgotten until Easter. This whole place, this town, it's a womb, a nursery, a shell. And this year, the shell finally cracked. I had to choose. He held out 2 things, a knife, made of bone and glass, a baby, still moving, swaddled in cobwebs and skin. I knew what he wanted. One lives, one hatches. The knife was for me, or the baby, doesn't matter which. Only that one cracks, and the other bleeds. I took the knife. I walked away. He laughed. The floor split. The walls screamed. The final truth. I made it back to my apartment. Everything's rotting now. Walls sag. My ceiling drips milk. The egg on my floor is boiling. Something inside it whispers my name. Outside, the town is hollowing. Roads collapse into mouths. Street signs bleed. And the sky cries blood-shaped snow. Everyone is waking up now. Not from sleep. From death. They're crawling out of their own mouths. Birthing versions of themselves that never should have existed. The reborn. The yoked. The cracked. Final warning. If you're reading this, you're too late. The crack's already inside you. You hear it, don't you? That heartbeat that doesn't match yours. That itch in your bones when you pass an empty field. That egg someone left on your porch. This isn't just my story. It's our story. We were never born. We were harvested. And Easter was never about resurrection. It's about feeding. The final message was found in blood across the cradle altar. Crack the world, yoke the sun, bleed the gods. Fur Hollow has hatched, and the Hollow is coming for you. I tried to communicate with my dead son on the dark web. One day I heard his voice while I was in the kitchen, but he's been dead for 3 years. Hey Reddit, I don't know if this is the right place to post this, but I feel like I'm losing my mind, and I just need to get this out. If you've got a minute, read this. If you've ever lost someone, especially a child, just please read. My name's David. I'm 42. Live alone now, in a little 2-bedroom townhouse just outside of Denver, Colorado. I work IT for a marketing company, mostly remote, boring stuff. What I'm about to tell you is going to sound like some made-up Creepypasta Reddit story, but I swear on my life, everything I'm about to say is true. And honestly, I wish it wasn't. It started about 4 months ago. I was sitting at my kitchen table, scrolling through emails on my old iPad, half watching some YouTube video in the background, Just normal Thursday night energy, you know? And then I saw it. Subject: I miss you, Dad. No sender name, no address, just that subject line. Now, my son, Nathan, passed away 3 years ago in a freak accident. He was 11th. Brightest damn kid I ever knew. He loved Minecraft, Spider-Man, and drawing these weird little comic strips about a superhero cat named Blaster. He was everything to me. And just like that, he was gone. He got hit by a drunk driver while crossing the street after school. I told him 100 times to wait for the crossing guard, but that day, he didn't. The pain never goes away. It just dulls. You learn to live with it, like carrying a stone in your chest. So when I saw that subject line, I miss you, Dad, I froze. I opened the email. The body was empty, except for one line. It's cold here. Can you find me? I swear to God, I thought it was spam at first. Maybe a scammer who'd pulled my info from some data breach, trying to mess with me. But the thing is, nobody knows about that line. Can you find me? That's what Nathan used to say when we played hide and seek in the house. Every time, like it was his catchphrase. I must have stared at the screen for 5 full minutes before I noticed the attachment. It was a photo. I clicked it. It was a blurry, low-res image of what looked like a parking garage. Underground. Dirty concrete. Flickering fluorescent lights. But what stopped my heart cold was the shape in the back corner. A child, wearing a red hoodie. Nathan had a hoodie just like that. I still have it. It's in a box in my closet. The kid in the photo had no face, like it was smeared or blurred out. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, I did what any logical person would do. I scanned the email for malware. Nothing. I checked the metadata of the photo, but it had been stripped clean. No GPS, no timestamp, nothing. It was like it had been manufactured. I tried tracing the IP, but it bounced around 3 continents in seconds. Russia, Sweden, then some dead server address in Brazil. All dead ends. I posted anonymously on a cyber forensics subreddit, asking for help, and someone DM'd me almost instantly. No name, no profile pic, brand new account. All they said was, "You're not looking in the right places. The surface web can't help you. Go deeper." Then they sent me a .onion link. Now listen, I've worked in IT for over a decade. I know what the dark web is. I've warned clients against it. But I've also used it a few times before, mostly for cybersecurity research. I never went deep though. Not that deep. The link was to a hidden wiki. If you've never been to one, just imagine Reddit and Craigslist had a mutant baby that was fed nightmares and code instead of milk. The layout was ancient. Half the links were dead. Others had titles like Live Campaign Network, Dollmaker's Auction, and Postmortem Lovers. I wish I was joking, but one link stood out to me like it was pulsing off the screen. DeadNet, Messages Beyond. I clicked it, and what I found made my stomach drop. It was a forum, but not like anything I'd ever seen. People were posting screenshots of conversations with what they claimed were their deceased relatives. Others were uploading weird, corrupted voice notes or GPS coordinates that led to graveyards, tunnels, even a closed-down Chuck E. Cheese in Memphis. One thread caught my eye. Hearing them again, a user named Nodemo666 posted a grainy audio file. I downloaded it, despite every instinct telling me not to. It was about 14 seconds long, just static at first. Then a voice, a little boy's voice. "Can you hear me, Daddy?" I swear on everything, it sounded exactly like Nathan, but the voice, It wasn't right, like someone was imitating him through a busted walkie-talkie. The tone was wrong, too flat, almost robotic, but somehow too emotional at the same time. I slammed my laptop shut. I didn't eat that night, barely drank water. I kept pacing around the house, checking the windows, the doors. I don't even know what I was expecting. I just felt off. Then, the next night, it happened. I was in the kitchen, making tea, just trying to calm down, and then I heard it, from the hallway. His voice, clear as day. "Daddy, I'm cold." I dropped the mug. It shattered on the floor. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold my phone as I started recording, thinking maybe it was a prank or a neighbor's kid outside. But I knew that voice, every syllable. I ran to the hallway, empty, but the thermostat was set to 68. The house was boiling 20 minutes ago. I swear it felt like it dropped to 40 degrees in there. I could see my breath. That's when I noticed something scratched into the wall. 3 words, carved in like someone used a key. "Can you find?" Not even the full phrase, just those 3 words. I haven't slept since. Not really. I know how this sounds. I know it sounds like I'm losing it, but I'm not done. Because what I found next, it gets worse. Way worse. If you've read this far, thank you. I'll update you as soon as I can. Something followed me back from the dark web, and I think it wants me to find something or someone. If you know anything about DeadNet or have seen similar stuff, please comment. It started happening every night after I heard Nathan's voice in the hallway. Not just the voice, the sounds, things moving. At first, I chalked it up to grief hallucinations, PTSD, maybe sleep deprivation, but no matter how much melatonin or whiskey I took, I couldn't drown it out. The knocks started around 2:13 a.m. every night, always 2:13, like clockwork. 3 knocks, from inside the walls. My house is a townhouse. The walls are shared with neighbors, but the ones I heard it from, those were interior walls, closets, bathroom, laundry room. And then one night, I stayed up, sat on the floor of the hallway with my phone recording. 2:13 a.m., 3 knocks, hollow, too slow, too deliberate. I whispered, "Who's there?" And I swear I heard something breathe back, not just breathing, gurgling, wet, like someone was choking on water. I ran, slept in my car with the heat on, but when I checked my recording in the morning, it didn't catch the knocks, just my voice, and then silence. Not even ambient room noise, just void. I went back on DeadNet. I wanted to post, but the thread was gone, completely scrubbed, not archived, not cached, just gone, like it had never existed. I checked the user, no demo 666. Deleted. Not user deleted either. Erased, like the username never registered. But something new had appeared in its place. A new thread pinned to the top of the forum. Bring them home. It had coordinates in the post. Somewhere in Utah, just outside a town called Nephi, middle of nowhere. There were no comments, just a single image. It was a photo of a motel room, cheap blue carpet, TV with the back panel ripped off, mold along the ceiling. In the corner, someone had scrawled in blood, or something that looked like blood. "We all drown in the dark." And underneath that, etched into the wall with something sharp, "The man with no face comes for those who speak to the dead." That phrase stuck with me like a disease. The man with no face. I didn't sleep again that night. The thermostat dropped to 52, but I hadn't touched it. 3 days later, I found something under my son's bed. I was cleaning, trying to keep busy, trying not to fall apart. and I found a flash drive taped to the slats under his old twin mattress. It was dusty, like it had been there for years. It had one file, a .mp4. The video was just 29 seconds long. It showed Nathan holding the iPad. He was in our old kitchen. The video was filmed from behind, like someone had been secretly recording him. The camera shook like the person was breathing heavily, hands trembling. Nathan was whispering, "I don't like the man in the wall. He keeps saying, 'Come closer.' He smells bad, like meat left in the car." Then his head turned toward the camera. But his face wasn't right. His eyes were too big, too dark. His mouth never moved when he talked, like the words were coming from inside him instead of out. The camera dropped, cut to black. That same night, something started scratching inside my walls. Not like a mouse, not like a raccoon, not random. It was rhythmic, like it was trying to write something. I put my ear to the drywall, and I swear I heard whispering. It wasn't Nathan anymore. It was deeper, adult, wet-sounding, guttural. It said one word over and over like a chant. Drown, drown, drown. I punched the wall in, just out of blind fear, rage. I tore the plaster and insulation apart with my bare hands until I started bleeding. And behind the insulation, taped to the studs, was a photo. It was my son, in his red hoodie, standing in front of what looked like an abandoned meat locker. A huge iron door behind him, the kind you see in horror movies, like the ones they use in those shut-down McDonald's that still have the old 80s play place outside. But the photo wasn't old. It was dated 3 days ago. I called the police, obviously, showed them everything. They barely glanced at it. The officer just looked at me like I needed psychiatric help. "Sir, it looks like an edited photo. Are you seeing anyone for your grief?" I almost lost it, but I let them leave. That night, the knocks didn't come. The screaming did. It started around 1:40 a.m., sharp, high-pitched, like a child being ripped apart. But it wasn't from inside the house. It was coming from the baby monitor. I hadn't turned it on in 3 years. It had been in storage in my garage. But suddenly, it was on the nightstand, powered, red light blinking, and Nathan's voice was coming through it. "Daddy, he won't let me leave. He says you can't find me unless you give him something alive." Then the monitor cut to static, screeching, piercing static that made my ears bleed. Literally, I had to go to urgent care the next morning. The nurse said it looked like I'd been listening to jet engines in both ears. I did something insane after that. I posted a classified ad on the dark web. I said I'd pay $20,000 for anyone who could help me locate the coordinates from that Bring Them Home thread. Real sickos replied, but one stood out. A guy named FRTHRT profile was clean, but his messages were specific. Too specific. He said he'd been there. Said the coordinates lead to an old Cold War era government facility buried under the salt flats in Utah. Said it was used for audio experiments and post-life signal isolation. He told me to bring a gift. Something that bleeds, something you love. I blocked him. 2 days later, my dog, Cooper, was gone. I found his collar in the sink, soaking in what I pray was animal blood, and scratched into the ceramic. Something alive, something you love. I broke. I packed a bag, booked a cheap motel in Nefer, Utah, rented a car. When I got to the coordinates, I found it. An abandoned warehouse, buried into the hills, rusted iron doors, cameras shattered, lock cut, no sign of life. Inside was worse. Everything was wet. The walls, the floor, the ceiling, like the place had been sweating for years. The air stank like rot and vinegar, and it wasn't empty. Dozens of cassette tapes were pinned to the walls with railroad spikes. Each one had a name on it, written in what looked like nail polish or old blood. One said, Nathan Holloway, age 11. I played it. There was a recorder next to a rusted out cot. I pressed play. It was him, my son, crying, saying, I don't want to be in the wires anymore. He's coming. He's crawling out. He's pulling faces off. Daddy, help me. I didn't mean to go near the tunnel. Then static. Then something else. Something in the background. A sound I'll never forget. Claws. On metal. Slow. Scraping. Then a voice. Not human. Not animal. Somewhere in between. You spoke. You looked. You owe. The recorder melted in my hand. Literally melted. I dropped it screaming. Skin blistered and bubbling. My hands still haven't healed right. On the wall, the mold shifted. It formed a shape. A man. Faceless. Featureless. Watching me. And then I ran. I ran until I passed out in my car, miles from the site. When I woke up, my phone had 38 new voicemails. Every single one was just a recording of Nathan crying. But the last one was me, my own voice, screaming, begging for help, saying, he's inside me. He's using my face. Don't let him wear me. I don't remember recording it. I haven't gone back. But every night since, the knocking's changed. It's not in the walls anymore. It's coming from the closet. And now, it knocks 4 times. Once for each year, he's been dead. To anyone reading this, don't try to contact the dead. Don't search for deadnet. Don't open .onion links you don't understand. They're not just sites. They're doorways. And some doorways don't close once you open them. There are 2 types of silence. The kind that comforts you, like snowfall at midnight, or waves washing in on an empty beach, and the kind that crawls under your skin. The silence where you feel like something is waiting for you to notice it. That's what my house became after I came back from Utah. That silence. That watching kind of silence. The kind that doesn't belong in a home. Something followed me back. It started with my mirrors. Every single one of them. Bathroom, hallway, the full body one in the bedroom. They all faced the wall when I came home. I didn't turn them that way. At first, I thought it was someone breaking in, trying to mess with me. But nothing was missing. Nothing was moved. Just the mirrors. Then I saw it. I was brushing my teeth. Just trying to pretend I was still living a real life. Eyes tired, hands shaking, mind a maze of static and screams from that warehouse. I flipped the bathroom mirror back around, and behind me, just for a second, I saw Nathan, but not the Nathan I remembered. This version of him was soaking wet. His clothes clung to him like he'd been pulled out of a lake. His mouth hung open too wide, like something was inside trying to get out. No eyes, just 2 black holes. I spun around, heart in my throat. No one there. But when I looked back, the mirror had cracked down the middle, splintering from the top like a lightning strike. The cracks formed a pattern, a symbol, something I'd seen before, but couldn't place. I took a photo. When I looked at the photo later that night, it wasn't the bathroom. It was a dark tunnel, somewhere underground, lined with what looked like children's drawings, taped to the stone walls. Stick figures with red X's where their faces should be. One of them had a word written above it in smeared red marker. Mirror meet. I stopped going outside. The world didn't feel safe anymore. It felt like a game I didn't understand. One I couldn't win. My phone stopped working, except for one app. TikTok. That's right. The stupidest, most brainless app on earth became a window. I didn't open it for days. But when I finally did, the app didn't show trending sounds or influencers doing dances. It showed me, sleeping, dozens of clips, different angles, my bed, my couch, even the goddamn shower, always filmed from just behind my shoulder. In some of them, I'm whispering in my sleep. In others, I'm crying. But the worst one, I'm standing in front of my front door, wide-eyed and still like a statue. The caption just said, "He's already in." The next thing that happened, I can't write this without shaking. I woke up at 4:44 a.m. There was music playing, a lullaby, the one we used to play for Nathan at night. Rockabye, baby, but slowed down, distorted, like someone had recorded it underwater and stretched it to an unnatural pitch. I walked into the hallway and saw the source, Nathan's iPad, the one he used to draw those superhero cats. It had been destroyed in the crash, shattered beyond repair. I saw it with my own eyes at the hospital, but there it was, glowing, one app open, a notepad, with a single sentence typed out, "He only wears my face because yours is next." That night, I barricaded myself in the living room, couch pushed against the windows, chairs stacked under the doorknobs, hammer in hand. I sat like that for hours until I heard footsteps in the attic, slow, deliberate, and then the trapdoor creaked open. I didn't move, not until the voice came. "Daddy, I brought him home. I lost it. Ran outside barefoot. Frost on the lawn. Moon hanging like a slit eye in the sky. I drove until I hit a Waffle House, 2 towns over, and sat there until sunrise, shaking and trying not to cry in front of the waitress. When I came back home, every photo in the house had been replaced. All of them, me, my ex, Nathan, gone. In their place were photos of me asleep, and in each one, standing in the background, was the man with no face. He's not like how people describe Slender Man or any of those internet myths. He's not tall. He's not even that scary looking at first. He looks normal, except where the face should be, there's just meat. Like someone skinned a person and left the muscle raw and wet. But it's constantly shifting, like the meat is trying to grow a face and can't decide which one to wear. Sometimes it shows my son's eyes. Sometimes it shows mine. The power went out for 3 days straight after that, and every night at exactly 2:13 a.m., my front door would unlock itself. Not rattle, not creak, unlock. I'd hear the bolt slide, and then footsteps, in the kitchen, in the hallway, behind me. But I never saw anything until the 4th night. I was standing in the kitchen, knife in hand, phone on record. The light above me flickered, and there he was, standing in the hallway, just behind the table, the man with no face. He didn't move like a human. He jerked forward in little twitches, like a corrupted video file, trying to buffer through a bad connection. His arms dangled too low. His jaw clicked when he walked, like bones grinding together. And then, he spoke, but the voice wasn't his. It was Nathan's. "Daddy," he said, "I have to stay if you won't take his place." Then my voice. "But you already said yes, remember?" I passed out. When I woke up, the knife was gone, and there was a symbol carved into my chest, burned into the skin like it had been drawn with a curling iron. I still don't know what it means, but it looks like a circle with 3 vertical lines through it. I saw it once in a video about cults in South America, something to do with open vessels and possession rituals. I dug deeper into Dead Net. There's a hidden page only accessible through a mirror browser, a browser that uses live reflections instead of code. I had to stare into a webcam, completely still, for 12 minutes while it analyzed my soul residue. Don't ask me how it works. I don't want to know. Once I was in, I found a directory. The vessels. Each file had a date of death and a photo. Children, mostly. All with something missing. No eyes, no teeth, or no face. At the bottom of the list was a file still open. It was labeled awaiting transfer. Next to it, my name, and a countdown. It ends on May 12th, my birthday. I think I let him in. Not the first time I heard Nathan. Not even when I played the tape. The moment I answered. The moment I said, "Who's there?" That's when the rules changed. He's in the walls now. He's in my skin. And at night, when I close my eyes, I dream of the tunnel, the one under the ground, where the kids' voices echo forever and the water never stops rising, where he wears your voice and sings your lullabies and drowns your face in himself. The mirror in my bedroom is facing me again, and now I don't recognize the reflection anymore. If you're still reading this, turn your mirrors around. Don't say their names. Don't answer the knocks. And whatever you do, don't go looking for your dead. They're not the ones who answer back. Have you ever heard something whisper your name from inside your own mouth? Not in your ear, not around you, inside you, like it's squatting behind your tongue, dragging its teeth along your throat, waiting to wear your breath like a coat. That's what's happening to me now. Every night I sleep, I wake up with my mouth wide open, bleeding at the corners, and every morning the mirror shows me smiling, even when I know I never smiled. Not once. Not since Nathan died. I think the man with no face lives inside sounds, not places, not flesh. Sounds. He doesn't knock anymore. He clicks, fast, like a hard drive dying. 1,000 little bone snap clicks layered on top of each other, skittering through the air like spider legs across your eardrum. That's how he speaks now. Through static, through every device I own. He found a way through my Spotify playlist last week. I was driving, middle of the night. Rain so hard it looked like a road was dissolving, trying to outrun the silence in my house. I hit shuffle on my safe songs list. Lo-fi, no vocals, just mellow, fuzzy instrumentals I used to play for Nathan when he was having nightmares. Track 4 started playing. Something new, unlabeled. Then the static came, followed by Nathan's voice, whispering under the music like a demon trapped in a cassette. If you're hearing this, it's too late. He's not just wearing me. He's learning how to become you. I smashed the radio, swerved off the road into a ditch. Cops found me an hour later, babbling nonsense with blood coming out of my nose. I told them it was just a seizure. They didn't ask questions. They never do. When I got home, my bedroom wall was missing. Just gone. Where drywall should have been, there was a tunnel. Same one from the photos. Same one from the mirror. The edges weren't clean. They looked chewed, like something had gnawed through reality to make an opening. The tunnel wasn't dark. It glowed, but not with light, with sound. Everything was vibrating, low, guttural, almost beneath hearing, like the hum of a dying universe. The walls pulsed with wet paper and wires. It smelled like burnt teeth and animal breath. I should have run, but I didn't, because I heard Nathan's laugh. Not the broken one I'd been hearing in the house, not the static-ridden imitation, his real laugh, that pure kind he had when he beat me in Mario Kart or saw a puppy with a funny haircut. So I crawled in. The tunnel wasn't straight. It bent down and sideways, like a broken intestine. Every few feet, I passed something alive. Not human. Not anymore. One was a body, strapped into the wall like the drywall had melted and absorbed it. Its face was stretched into a permanent scream. No eyes. Its mouth opened and closed like it was still trying to scream, even without lungs. I kept crawling, past walls made of speaker wire and rotten carpet, past baby teeth embedded in cement like someone was counting down. The sound got louder, more chaotic. I passed a mirror, just a full-length mirror, framed in red leather, propped up in the dirt, like someone left it there by accident. But it didn't show me. It showed my son, sitting at the kitchen table, drawing with his markers, smiling. Then slowly, he turned to face the camera, and his smile fell. He mouthed the words. He already fed. He needs more now. I kept going. I don't know how long I crawled. My fingernails broke off. My lips split. The noise became a language, and the language became a command. Turn around. Over and over, in that deep, bone-scraping tone that sounded like it was being played backward through a corpse's throat. Turn around. But I didn't, because I saw the door. At the end of the tunnel, an old meat locker door, exactly like the one from the photos. It had handprints all over it, hundreds, child-sized, pressed into the grime, like they'd been screaming through the metal. Above it was written, in what I know was blood, "This is where they hear you scream the loudest." I opened the door, and I found him. He wasn't wearing a face. He was wearing mine, but not perfectly. The eyes were too low, the lips twitching too wide, like he was still learning the controls. The skin hung loose, like a Halloween mask, made of living tissue. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was what was hanging behind him. Dozens, maybe hundreds of bodies, children, adults, all strung up by their mouths. Their mouths, like meat hooks, had been punched through their jaws and pulled up into the ceiling. Their faces were gone, peeled, but their throats moved, constantly, mumbling, whispering, chanting. Their voices filled the room, layered over each other in this inhuman chorus that made my ears bleed instantly. I couldn't understand what they were saying until I focused on a single voice. "Nathan," he whispered. "He's not a ghost, Daddy. He's a copy. He eats sound. He records what he wants to become." I turned to run, but it was too late. He lunged, not with arms, with echoes. He screamed, but the scream didn't come from him. It came from inside me. He made me scream, forced the sound up from my guts, like he was pulling my soul out through my vocal cords. I fell, hit the dirt. My ears ruptured. Everything was red and white and vibrating and inside out. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my house, but the tunnel was still there, wider now, and something was coming out. Not him. Me. Another version of me, but not quite. This version twitched, smiled too hard, eyes too focused. He looked at me and whispered, "You made the call. Now he's recording through you." He opened his mouth, and my son's voice came out. Not a scream, a laugh. I tried killing myself the next day. I won't go into details, but it didn't work. Instead, I woke up in the bathtub, covered in mold. My coworkers say I've been weird lately, showing up to Zoom calls with a grin that doesn't move. But I haven't left this house. I'm trapped here, because now I only speak in Nathan's voice, And I don't think the man with no face is trying to become me. I think I'm becoming him. There's a noise in the basement now. It's not knocking. It's not breathing. It's a sound I can't describe. A chorus of every voice I've ever loved, stitched together and stretched over white noise, all repeating one phrase. When your voice dies, your body follows. And the countdown. It just hits 0. If you hear your voice in places you never spoke, do not answer it. He doesn't want to haunt you. He wants to record you. And when he's done, you'll never sound like yourself again. There is a moment in every horror movie where the main character realizes they're already dead. They just haven't stopped breathing yet. That's what I felt when I woke up this morning and my reflection mouthed the words before I did. It didn't mirror me. It led me. Smiled before I smiled. Tilted its head when I didn't move. It knew what I was going to say, and when I opened my mouth, it whispered through me, "Welcome to the last broadcast." My body isn't fully mine anymore. It's like I'm co-piloting something wearing me, sitting in the back seat of my own skull while my hands move on their own, writing symbols into the walls I don't understand, but that make my teeth ache to look at. My voice now glitches when I speak. I'll say, "Good morning," and it'll come out like a chorus of children whispering through old cassette tape. Hiss. I'll try to scream, and what comes out is my son's lullaby, played backward, with a dead breath at the end of every word. I'm becoming the broadcast. I haven't been outside in a week, not since the tunnel began bleeding. It started 2 nights ago. I heard a sound like wet fabric being torn, and when I walked into the hallway, the tunnel mouth, thus once smooth and damp, was dripping black fluid, thick, like tar mixed with meat. I touched it once, just once. My fingers screamed for 4 hours after that. Not me, my fingers. They twitched on their own and tapped messages into the hardwood floor. He knows you better than you know yourself. There are people in the walls now, real people. I can hear them moving, crying, but it's not a haunting. It's not ghosts. It's audience members. He shows them things. He shows them me, my memories, my grief, my guilt, my son's broken body in the hospital bed, with the heart monitor flatlining in perfect rhythm to a children's nursery rhyme being played from the corner of the ICU. He makes them watch, over and over. I tried breaking through the drywall last night, tore it apart with a crowbar until my hands were bone. Behind it, I found them, eyes sewn open, mouths wired shut, watching a projection of my son's last breath, looped eternally on the wall. And the projector was me, my head sliced open, wires shoved into my brain like antennae, still blinking. I vomited blood that wasn't mine. It tasted like iron and burned wood. When I looked closer, there were teeth in it, baby teeth. Some still had roots. One of them had my initials carved into it. I never carved my son's teeth. Someone else did. Someone who's been watching, recording, preparing. There's something you need to understand about the man with no face. He's not a demon. He's not a ghost. He's a transmission, a frequency that feeds on the vibrations of trauma, a signal that learned how to become flesh. He exists in recordings, in corrupted audio, in every forgotten voicemail and glitched out live stream where the static cuts just right and something answers in your voice. He doesn't kill you. He replaces you, slowly, like a virus downloading through a bad connection. First your voice, then your memories, then your body, until the only thing left of you is what he leaves behind, a noise, a warped echo, a version of your laugh that shows up on other people's phones at 3 a.m. I haven't heard Nathan's real voice in weeks. Just versions, fractured imitations, like he's screaming from inside a spinning fan, always ending in wet coughing and a whisper I can't unhear. He made me into a file. He saved me as pain.wav, and last night was when I knew I couldn't win. The house spoke. Not the walls, not the mirrors. The house. It moaned, loud, like every brick was crying. It said, "You opened him. You played the forbidden audio. You clicked the grief. You clicked the face." I don't remember doing that, but maybe I did. Maybe I wanted to hear him again so badly that I stopped asking where the voice was coming from. It's too late for me, but I need you to know how it ends. At 3:33 a.m., the house filled with sound. All the speakers turned on. Bluetooth, Alexa, my iPhone, even my old flat screen. They all played the same recording. It was me, tied to a chair, eyes blacked out with wires, voice on loop. "You are now the broadcaster." Then the screen went white and showed every person who's ever heard his voice. Names, faces, IPS, maybe even yours. The tunnel has spread. It's in my bedroom, my living room, my head. I hear dirt shifted behind my eyes. I feel cables in my throat. I blink and see menus, settings. Someone's trying to tune me, update me, finalize me. I found a file on my computer just now. Auto-created. Final Cut U.wav. I played it. It's me, sobbing. And then Nathan whispers, "Say goodbye, Daddy. He needs your last word." So here it is. My last word. Not a goodbye. A warning. There's a site, a frequency, a file. You'll hear it by accident, on a video with no views, on a voicemail from a number you don't recognize, on a Discord call that glitches for half a second too long. And if you listen, really listen, you'll hear a child crying, then laughing, then speaking in your own voice. When that happens, don't play it again. Don't click rewind. Don't turn the volume up. And above all, don't answer, because the man with no face doesn't need to break into your house to find you. He just needs your voice. And once he has that, he's already inside.